Welcome to the EQ Lighting Application Suite. I want to talk now about a section in the programmer which is called the master window. Masters are comparable to faders on mixing consoles. You can pull them out and pull them down to control channels and to control functions. And these masters in the programmer, they correspond to the faders on a mixing console. So we have a grand master and we have various versatile masters. And the grand master is the master which controls the overall brightness of all fixtures in your project. To set a master, you point on the master value, click the left mouse button and pull it up or down. And pulling it up or down, you can see you change the overall brightness of the fixtures in your project. Clicking the right mouse button, you have the properties window, and in the properties windows you define the master. This is the grand master. It has the index 0. You can define the curve type, which is either linear or logarithmic. You can define a minimum value, a maximum value, a default value. And these faders, these masters, are not only controllable from the programmer, you can also connect it to a MIDI device. For example, a MIDI fader on a MIDI mixing console. To connect the fader, the master, with a MIDI device, you can use the MIDI learn function. Clicking this button will now wait for a MIDI control change on the MIDI input and then take the channel controller number as values for this master. If you know how the MIDI fader is defined, then you can use the values that you have. There's also one function which is called feedback, and feedback means that if you change a master here in the programmer, or if the master gets fades, for example by an eScript macro, then the change is reflected to the mixing console, to the motorized faders. So you have a feedback if you pull down and up the fader here in the programmer, then the fader on the mixing console will change also. So now the grandmaster is connected to a MIDI channel. We will disable this now. So this is a grandmaster, and with the right mouse button click you have several functions. For example, you have an auto fade. You can auto fade to 0, or you can auto fade to full. Sometimes it's helpful to have a master, a controlling master, to only one cue list. For example, at the moment cue list number 3 is running. I double click on the cue list and I can assign a so-called submaster to this cue list only. So now I can control this cue list with this versatile master, and the master has only effect on this cue list. If I start another cue list, then you can see here it is not working. It's only defined for this cue list. What I can even do is I can assign an effect to a versatile master. For example, I want to use a sinus function, position 50, size 50, which means full range and a speed of 0.2 changes per second. And now I have mapped a sinus function to the versatile master controlling the cue list number 3. And with these versatile masters you can control many parameters in the programmer you can assign effect speeds and effect depths to functions. You can control single cue lists, or you can control more than one cue list with a versatile master. So the versatile masters, they can be seen as the faders on a mixing console. Then you can assign then functions to separate faders to control your show.